Okay, so you're thinking, how can I make a career out of protecting the environment? Right. Well, how about a field that's all about making one of the biggest industries out there more sustainable?
Hmm. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
You sent us some seriously interesting stuff from RoleCatcher about environmental mining engineering, and I gotta say, it's not what I expected. I mean, mining. Eco-friendly.
Yeah, that sounds like an oxymoron, right?
Right. But let me tell ya, after digging into this with our expert, I'm convinced this career path is way more important and way more fascinating than we give it credit for.
I'm with you on that. It's easy to assume mining is the bad guy when it comes to the environment. But the truth is, we rely on mined resources for pretty much everything.
From the phones in our pockets to...
To the renewable energy infrastructure we're all so excited about. The demand for these resources isn't going away anytime soon.
Exactly. And that's where environmental mining engineers come in. They're the ones figuring out how to meet those demands responsibly, minimizing the environmental impact every step of the way. But I gotta ask, what does that actually look like day to day? Because I'll be honest, I was picturing a lot of clipboards and maybe a hard hat.
Oh, there are definitely hard hats involved, but it's way more dynamic than that. Think about it. You could be out on site at a mine, but instead of directing the excavation, you're designing a system to collect and treat the wastewater, making sure it's clean before it's released back into the environment.
Okay, that's way more hands-on than I imagined. So it's a mix of field work, data crunching.
Absolutely. One day you might be collecting water samples, the next you're building a computer model to predict the environmental impact of a new mining technique. And let's not forget the human element here. You're constantly collaborating with geologists, miners, government regulators, even local communities.
Oh, right. RoleCatcher really stressed the importance of communication and stakeholder engagement, didn't they?
They did, and for good reason. Can you imagine trying to explain a complex environmental regulation to a community that's worried about a mine opening up nearby? That takes serious communication skills.
Yeah, you're not just an engineer, you're a diplomat. You have to really understand all sides of an issue and find solutions that work for everyone.
Exactly. And, speaking of different perspectives, RoleCatcher pointed out that even the job title itself can vary a lot. Don't get too stuck on environmental mining engineer being the be-all and end-all.
Oh, interesting. So what, like recycling specialist or...
Exactly. Or waste treatment engineer. It just goes to show you how transferable these skills are. The principles of minimizing environmental impact and managing resources, those apply across a ton of industries.
That's a good point. So even if someone decides mining itself isn't their thing long term, they've got options.
Absolutely.
But let's say someone is really into this whole environmental mining world. What's the work-life balance like?
Well, RoleCatcher didn't sugarcoat it. It's a demanding field. High demand, which is good for job security, but mining can be cyclical, with its ups and downs. And that travel we talked about often comes with long hours and some, shall we say, rugged conditions.
Not all boardrooms and fancy hotels then?
Not always, no. But hey, if you thrive on variety and a little bit of challenge.
Sounds like you need to be comfortable in both those worlds, huh? The boardroom and the, wherever the water samples are.
Exactly. But that's what makes it so rewarding. Not just the salary, but knowing you're making a real difference.
I can see that. You're not just designing a bridge or a building, you're shaping an entire industry's environmental impact. Pretty cool if you ask me.
Right.
But okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. What kind of education and credentials do you actually need to break into this field? RoleCatcher had a lot to say about that too.
They did, and it's more than you might think. It's a competitive field. But with the right qualifications, you can really stand out. So let's dive into some of the degrees and certifications that can give you an edge.
Okay, so degrees and certifications, huh? Is it as simple as, like, get an engineering degree and you're set? Or is there something more specific that aspiring environmental mining engineers should be aiming for, according to RoleCatcher?
It's definitely more nuanced than just any engineering degree. RoleCatcher highlights a few common paths like environmental engineering, for sure, mining engineering, of course, and even, geology. These give you that foundation in the technical stuff, like how mining operations actually work, how pollutants behave in the environment, that kind of thing.
Right, so those are the basics. But then what? What takes you from applicant to the expert they call? Is it all about those fancy certifications?
Certifications definitely play a part, but it's not just about, collecting letters after your name. RoleCatcher really digs into the why behind them.
Okay, so it's not just about checking a box.
Exactly, like becoming a certified environmental professional or CEP. It shows you really understand environmental regulations, impact assessment, ethical considerations, all that good stuff.
So you're not just saying you can handle the job, you're proving it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. You're tasked with designing a system to prevent acid mine drainage.
Which is a big deal, right?
Huge environmental hazard. Having that CEP certification tells everyone, hey, I know the regulations, I know the risks, I can design a solution that actually works.
It's like that extra level of reassurance. Okay, what other certifications did RoleCatcher mention?
Another big one is the Mine Safety and Health Administration certification, or MSHA as it's usually called.
Itchy.
Mining can be dangerous, right? So this certification shows you're serious about safety for the workers, for the environment, for everyone. Hazard identification, emergency response, all of that.
So it's like that extra seal of approval showing you're not cutting corners.
Yeah.
And especially in a field where public perception can be a bit delicate, that trust is probably crucial.
Absolutely. It's about demonstrating that commitment to responsible mining. But here's the thing about this field. It's not like you learn it once and you're done. RoleCatcher really stressed the importance of, like, continuous learning, you know?
Totally. Things are changing so fast, especially with like the push for renewable energy and everything.
Yeah.
The mining industry has to adapt. So how do you stay ahead of the curve? What did RoleCatcher say about that?
It's all about being a lifelong learner. Conferences, industry publications, workshops, online courses. There are so many ways to stay updated. Like just a few years ago, rare earth element mining.
For things like wind turbines and
Exactly. It wasn't as big of a deal. Now it's essential, and the people who are already learning about the environmental challenges, they've got a head start.
so you could have all the certifications, years of experience, and still find yourself like taking a crash course on the latest bioremediation techniques.
100%. This field is all about adaptability, you know, always learning new things. But okay, let's say you've got the education, the certifications, that insatiable curiosity. What does the actual career path look like?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. How do you climb that ladder?
Well, RoleCatcher actually gave a pretty clear roadmap outlining that typical progression. Entry level to senior positions, it's all about gaining experience, taking on more responsibility as you go.
So let's break that down. Someone lands their first job fresh out of university. What are they actually doing? What does entry level even look like in this field?
It's a lot of hands-on learning, you know, like an apprenticeship almost.
Yeah.
You're assisting senior engineers, collecting data, maybe helping prepare those environmental impact assessments. It's about building that foundation.
So you're not designing a whole mine reclamation project on day one.
Not quite.
Yeah.
But you might be the one out there collecting the water samples to see how well that new filtration system is working, or helping to implement a dust suppression program. It's about mastering those fundamentals.
Got it. Got it. So you put in the work, you learn from the best, and then what? How do you go from like collecting the samples to making the decisions?
That's where that career ladder comes in. RoleCatcher talks about how as you gain experience, you move up junior environmental mining engineer, maybe project manager, and eventually you could be the senior environmental mining engineer leading entire teams and projects.
And I'm guessing with each step up comes more responsibility, bigger challenges,
Okay.
but also bigger rewards.
Exactly. You're leading projects, mentoring junior engineers, making those strategic decisions. Maybe you're designing a whole new mining process or leading the environmental reclamation of a closed mine site.
So you could start by analyzing those water samples and end up presenting like your innovative solution for reducing a mine's carbon footprint at a global conference. That's quite a journey.
It is, but let's be real. It's not all about technical skills and degrees, right? Networking plays a huge role in any field, and environmental mining engineering is no exception.
Oh, for sure. RoleCatcher definitely called that out. So what's their advice? How do you build a network in this world?
Think of it as strategic relationship building.
So spill the tea. What's the secret sauce? How do you actually bond those relationships?
Well, RoleCatcher highlights professional organizations like the Society for Mining, Metallurgy, and Exploration.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, they usually just call it SME.
Okay, that's easier. But it's more than just like putting it on your resume, right?
Right. It's about connecting with people in the field, sharing knowledge, learning from each other.
So like finding your people, the ones who geek out on sustainable mining as much as you do.
Exactly. Imagine you're at an SME conference presenting your research on, I don't know, a new way to reduce water use in mining.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Who knows who's in the audience?
Yeah.
Could be a future employer, a collaborator, someone with a totally new perspective on your work.
Those connections must be so valuable, especially in a field that's like constantly changing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where that whole networking thing comes in handy too. You hit a roadblock on a project, you can just shoot a message to someone you met at a conference or reach out to a mentor for advice.
It's like having a direct line to all these experts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's something you can't get from a textbook.
So much for those networking isn't important articles. This has been amazing. We went from the nitty-gritty of like treating wastewater to the power of networking. What a ride. So for someone listening who's thinking, sign me up, what's the key takeaway here? What should they remember about a career in environmental mining engineering?
It's more than a job. It's about taking your passion for the environment, those technical skills, and using them to make a real difference.
We're talking about like shaping the future of an entire industry here. That's huge.
It is, but it takes dedication and a willingness to learn always,
And maybe a good pair of boots from the sounds of it.
probably. But the rewards are huge, both personally and professionally. You really are making a difference.
Well said. We just scratched the surface here, but hopefully this deep dive gave you a taste of what this career is all about.
And if you want to go even deeper, check out RoleCatcher's website. Tons of great info there, from interview tips to salary info. They really are a great resource for anyone interested in this field.
Awesome. So to everyone listening, keep learning, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe we'll see you out there changing the world one mine at a time. Until next time.